welcome to this edition of Joy in Our Town. I'm Ann Farrell Tata, your host, and today I'm delighted to welcome my guest, Kim Robinson. Kim is a community health advisor with the American Cancer Society, and Michael Berea, who is a community champion with the American Red Cross. Our issue today is health, and our topic is cancer prevention and early detection. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Cancer prevention, cancer detection, that is huge. So Kim, I'm going to start with you. Why is that? Let's talk about it and tell me why it's so important.
It is very important because early detection and prevention can lead to, of course, longevity in life, if you will. Both Mike and myself are both cancer survivors, and the stories are quite similar. It's just making certain that we take action and take charge of our health, making certain that we have our wellness exams and getting the proper screenings at the age required. The other thing that I'm very a spokesperson for is knowing your family history. Although the majority of the cancers, or all the cancers, those of which that have been diagnosed, only 10 to 11% are actually family related, if you will. But if knowing your family history and knowing that you do have that in your family, you're able to have that discussion with your doctor, and your doctor at that time can tell you when is it time to start your screening.
And with family history, now you've just started the history, so it's very important now to communicate to your children that, hey, you know, your dad has had this issue. It's time for you to be alert and be aware, you know, because they may be in the mindset that they can wait till they're 40 or 50 years old, but you know, when they're near to the alligator to the boat, all of a sudden their father or their nearest relative has this cancer, they have to be aware as well. So
now, when they say, you know, family history, I mean, is it specific to the cancer, or if cancer is in your family, does that mean any, you know, it can present as different types?
It can present as different types, and I'll give myself as an example. The family history that I knew of was my great-grandmother on my mother's side that had breast cancer.
Right.
So right away when I started having my women wellness exams, I had that informative conversation with my doctor, and the simple thing that she could tell me was make certain that I maintain my annual exams and that I pay close attention to the differences in my breast.
Right.
I was 32 years old when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I had my women's wellness exam, and this was going on 6 years ago, and there was nothing felt at that time, but because I was still very aware of my body, 4 months later I actually detected a tumor. It was definitely a lump that I felt.
So you found it and then went and asked for a mammogram, because you would be too young to be getting a mammogram.
That's correct. Initially it was to go back to my doctor, and they did a clinical breast exam on me at the time, and then I had an ultrasound done, and of course the mindset is, oh, you're too young.
Right.
But because I had already had that discussion of having the family history, it wasn't something that they sort of kind of just swooped under the rug.
Right.
And I had my very first mammogram. Shortly after seeing a breast surgeon, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer.
And my journey with cancer started with the colonoscopies.
Oh, just because of your
well,
age?
my father had it. My maternal grandmother had it. So I had a history immediately where they put me on a 5-year program.
Oh, wow.
So I discovered blood in a stool, which created my journey.
Right. Did you think immediately when you saw that? Did you think something's wrong,
No.
or because it would be common to just say, oh, that's probably.
You know, I had a surgeon, the naval unit that I was with. He strongly recommended that I go and have it checked, and sure enough, when they did the colonoscopy, they discovered 3 polyps.
Oh, yeah.
And those polyps can grow and become cancerous if undetected and left alone. So I was very fortunate, and the biopsy came back negative. So, but my journey started there.
Yeah.
And as we were talking earlier, as an aviator, you know, you get these yearly exams that are mandatory.
Right.
And when I retired, I tried to keep that same pattern going.
Right.
And then I missed 1 year. And the following 6 or 7 months earlier, I discovered I had prostate cancer.
Wow.
And from 6 months from the time of discovery, that's when I had my surgery. And so far, 2 years, what they call PSA undetectable free, which is what you want when you finish your prostate like that.
So what does a champion do? I mean, you probably, you know, championing
They use me for my networking skills.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have been in the area a long time, and they've asked me to champion their cause by reaching out to various veterans organizations, the VFW, the Military Officers Association, some situations like that. I have some friends that are entrepreneurs and business people, and I go to them and talk to them about if they would support, you know, coloring up their restaurant a day in purple. Would they provide some partial of their proceeds for the day if they would do that. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
So champion for raising money, but also for early detection.
Well,
and
actually,
also, 'cause men, talk to those men.
Yeah, the men are the problem. They really are. God bless them. I mean, they are.
Only in this area, right, Kim? We're not
Well, they don't want to.
bashing men
They don't
around
want
here.
to talk about it. They
Yeah.
really don't. And you have to really stress to them the importance of early detection. And I was just going to say, with the Navy, we're trying to get the Navy involved to perhaps get involved in some of the illuminary ceremonies that we have, where you light these bags in remembrance of family lost or people who are battling. And we like to get the Navy to participate, maybe have some of the flight decks on some of their ships, put the bags around. So we're working with them to do that, and we're hoping that in the future we'll include that in our Relay for Life.
And the biggest thing as far as being a champion, his testimony, our
Right.
testimonies.
Yeah, you too.
The
I mean, you're
survivors,
young, girl,
you
to get
know,
that. Sure.
the survivors being able to provide those stories of the journeys that they're taking to, whether it be, well, mine was detected early because I was proactive, or, you
Right.
know, I wasn't proactive. But I was able to go ahead and I saw that I had to go to the doctor or what have you, because, you know, I kind of lagged away. I didn't have my screening for 3 or 4 years, but but I did it, and here I am. You know, the stories carry very long ways,
Right.
because you never know who you may touch,
Right.
because we don't talk about it. From, you know, whether it be the men that don't talk about prostate or colorectal cancer screenings, or women who do not talk about mammograms because they're automatically thinking that, oh, it's too painful, I don't want to deal with it, or
Right.
we all live busy lives.
Right.
And you'll notice that it's very hard to fit in our schedule to take care of ourselves, but we have to do that.
What's really neat is when I have friends come up to me and say, hey, you know, because of you, I did have an exam, or because of you, I did take a look at this.
Yeah.
And there were some discoveries, and there's some follow-up things that they've done. So they've acknowledged that, thanking me for just kind of bringing it to attention.
Now, what
So-
you named a couple of reasons why people don't go, but there's also that I'm afraid they're going to find something, especially if I have a friend who there's a big family history, and that's why they don't want to go. So what would you say, I guess a champion, what would you say to that person?
I would say face the challenge. Get up there and get up to the plate and hit it out of the park. If it's not for you, for your family.
Right.
You know, it's all about longevity, right? It's all about being around to give the love and support of your family. And look at the example you're setting. So I would tell those who are afraid, face your fear.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
face
good.
it. And you'll be surprised. I think and that's one of the things I found wonderful about the American Cancer Society, in particular the Relay for Life folks. They really give a lot of information about caregiving.
Yeah.
And they really talk to those who are survivors, but for the caregivers,
Right.
those people that are left helping those that are having the trouble with cancer, these organizations give wonderful support and information to those who need it. And that's one of the things that drew me to the organization, is the caregivers, how they care for them as well, which I think is a very important part of this.
Go
I
ahead. No, you
apologize.
go ahead.
And that's the program that I manage through the Community Health Advisory Program, is where it's very volunteer based, and we actually go out into the communities, primarily in Portsmouth and Norfolk, in the underserved and population, and especially those of which who do not have any health insurance, and figure, well, you can tell me what to do, but unfortunately I don't have the money to do it.
Right.
We're able to educate and provide the awareness, and we're actually able to navigate those to the proper screenings. Right now the concentration is breast health and mammography and colorectal health and colorectal cancer screenings.
Yeah.
It's not just the colonoscopy.
Right.
There's also the FIT test, which is the fecal immunochemical test, that is a take-home test.
Oh,
because of
wow.
course, you know,
Yeah,
some people,
that
when they
could
think
be.
in terms of colonoscopies, it's very, very intrusive, and they
Sure.
don't want to actually go through the process. Or again, if they don't have any health insurance, they cannot afford out of pocket for the colonoscopy. But the
Right.
FIT test is a very inexpensive test. It's a take-home test, and it's just simply providing a sample of the feces, if you will, after a bowel movement, and taking it back to the doctor so that they can actually send it out to the lab and see if there's any microscopic forms of blood that's in the feces.
See, a lot of people have problems talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, she's
It
saying
gets
it
so
so
personal.
politely.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, it gets very personal.
Yes.
It's and people have a hard time talking about
Yeah.
it. And I think if you get into a group of people who are very professional and who share their experiences, that people find that it's a more comforting environment to be able to open up and talk about that stuff,
Right.
because it is hard.
Wait, where do
You
they
know?
get? Do they go to their doctor to get those, or do they go to the American Cancer Society to get those tests?
Well, actually, now, of course, if they're insured, it's very important that they know that that the screenings are available through their health insurance, whether it be
yeah.
colonoscopy or if they did choose to get a FIT test. That is their choice. Whichever one they choose is the best test, regardless. Early detection is key. For those of us who do not have any health insurance, they can go to either a local clinic or a free clinic. Prime example, in the area, we have the Hampton Roads Community Health Centers that received a grant through ACS that are providing FIT tests for their patients
Wow,
at a
that's
very low
great.
and very inexpensive cost.
Yeah.
Again, but it's just to be able to get out in the communities and literally making certain that everybody knows what the resources that are there provided through the American Cancer Society and the community abroad.
Well, I would think that the cost for detection is so much less than the cost for treatment. If they do
Yes.
find something, right?
Yes.
So can you talk about, are there some proven things that really do prevent cancer? I mean, obviously skin cancer, wearing sunscreen or staying out of the sun, but what are some things that are proven to prevent cancer?
Well, to reduce the risk of cancer, of course, making certain that your BMI, your body weight, is
yeah.
normal based on your height and your age, if you will, so that you're not encountering where if you're overweight, we do know that that can also cause other chronic illnesses, to include cancer. The way we eat. The way we we have to stay active.
That's the big one.
That's the big one, you know.
Do you have resources at American Red Cross about what to eat and what not to eat?
We do have
Or is it
various-
more just weight and body mass? I mean, do you do sort of?
Well, you can find that information too with your urologist.
Oh, yeah.
They're very good at that.
I don't know if I'd be going to a urologist. though.
Exactly. Well, in my particular case,
Yeah.
when I discovered that I had prostate cancer, I was given all this literature about diet, and I kind of kicked myself in the head because I realized I had not been eating very healthy
Oh, yeah. So
my
you
entire
did change
life.
your diet.
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Yeah,
You
to change your diet.
did you do, what other dramatic things did you do?
Well, that was a
at your-
180 right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
How about exercise? Were you already
Well,
exercising?
yeah, I was exercising. I pretty much did that. Body weight is a little problem I have with that, but I'm working on that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lifelong thing. But,
Well, it takes time. It
yeah,
really
it
does
does.
take
I
time.
know, I'm
You-
trying.
It's a
but
process.
you have to reteach yourself, especially as survivors. We have to
Yeah.
reteach ourselves because reoccurrence is still a fear in the back of our heads.
Yeah.
So we have to reduce our stressors.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Every 6 months, as a prostate survivor, you have to get your blood drawn.
Right.
And they do what they call the PSA.
Right.
And it needs to be undetectable. And if there is some detection, they will follow up with a blood test sooner than 6 months to see if there's a trend. And if there is discovery, then you're looking at follow-on treatments, which sometimes are not very palatable. Chemo and radiation and those kind of things. So it does tend to, every time I go in for my PSA exam, there is a level of anxiety there that I'm very
Yeah.
concerned about.
And we share the same
So-
fear.
So you
because
have to
just
go. Are you
six-
going every year or every 6
Well,
months?
actually, initially, during my first 5 years, if you will, it was every 6 months getting the scans done, whether it be a full body scan and/or my sonograms, because I did decide to get reconstruction surgery, if you will, and getting the blood works done, and always seeing your oncologist. And it's that fear. You don't want to hear it
Right.
again.
Well, all right, Kim and Michael, we're going to take a real quick break, and when we come back, you're the perfect people because we're going to continue our conversation about breast cancer survivors. I'm Ann Farrell Tata. This is Joy in Our Town, and stay with us through the break, and we will be right back. Hi, welcome back to Joy in Our Town. I'm Ann Farrell Tata, and I've been joined today by Kim Robinson, who is a community health advisor with the American Cancer Society, and Michael Berea, who is a community champion. And we're going to switch gears a little bit. We've been talking about our issue is health, and we're going to switch gears and talk about support for cancer survivors. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with me.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
And both y'all are the perfect people to talk about with this because you both are survivors. So how important for those who are battling cancer, like while you were going through it and even when you first were diagnosed, what kind of support was most helpful for you and what kind of support is available to others?
You want to take that one?
Sure. Well, it's in reference to support through the American Cancer Society. We have a variation of items that can be chosen at any given time, if you will. For example, our 1-800 number, which is 1-800-227-2345. And it's 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. There's a live person that picks up the phone at any
Wow.
given time to answer any questions, whether it's, you know, what should my diet be,
Yeah.
from a survivor standpoint, or a caregiver asking questions as to what do I need to do. And they also have the support between the 1-800 number and those of which that are more web savvy and prefer to go to the computer. We have cancer.org that also has various subjects, questions, anything that can quite possibly come to the person's mind that of concern of those.
Now, if people enjoy going out and socializing and being a part of a community, these Relay for Life events
Yeah.
take place all over the country, all different communities.
And they have them frequently throughout
Very
the
frequently.
year. They're
And,
not just once
now,
a year.
when this show is being aired, there will have been a numerous Relay for Life events, Old Dominion University, Regent University, Virginia Wesleyan College. So if people are uncomfortable in going on websites and they want to rather talk, go to these events.
Right.
You don't even have to be a participant. Just go
Yeah.
and just either walk the track or just talk to anybody that is there, and they will find a passion and a joy of working with others, battling this and remembering those who have been
Right.
we've lost. I think that community aspect is very important. That's what helped me.
Yeah. Seeing did you immediately know you were surrounded by other people
Immediately.
that have?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. As soon as you mention your situation,
Yeah.
people really open up and say, hey, you know, I've been there. I know what you're going through. Here, hey, I got a friend of mine over here. Come over here. Let's go talk to him. And we found that going to these particular events, for me, really helped me, because I'm a jibber jabber kind of individual, and I just enjoy that back and forth. And these Relay for Life events were really what they're all about.
Yeah.
And I say it again, it's for the caregivers.
Right.
They come and they realize this network that's out there and these
Right.
people that are involved. And sometimes when they come to these Relay for Life events, it's the first exposure that anyone's ever had,
Yeah.
other than a doctor saying that a family member has cancer.
Right.
And now they hand you all these brochures and things to read, and you're over inundated with the information because you have to make some decisions now
Right.
on what kind of treatment you're going to get, what comes next, and sometimes going to these things, you pick up more. For me, I learn quicker that way.
Yeah.
And then when I hear something that's important, then I'll go back and I'll research it on my own terms, not feeling like I got 2 days I got to discover and figure out this.
Right.
So I find these kind of events to be very, very illuminating. So.
And for me, it was the Look Good, Feel Better program, which is for the women who are going through chemotherapy and
Yeah.
radiation. And this was me, I'm going through chemo, I'm losing my hair,
Yeah.
I'm losing, discoloration in my skin. And it was still a matter of, here I am, I'm 32, none of my peers had gone through it, if you
Right.
will. It was more, my elders who had gone through it, but there was a different feel.
Yeah,
But
sure.
that was my first connection in a room of women going through the same exact thing that I
Yeah.
was going through,
Yeah.
And how we took our wigs off
Yeah.
and we took our makeup off, and it was like,
Aw.
I can be transparent,
Right.
because usually when we're out in the world, and like I said, just being a professional woman,
Yeah.
I didn't want anybody to feel bad for me. I didn't want
Yeah.
the pity, there was no pity party involved, because we knew
You
that
didn't
God.
get no pity from me.
No.
I mean, both of y'all are so
Yes.
positive, and you're upbeat. I mean, how important is the positive attitude to the recovery and the healing?
It's hard. I mean, it's hard.
Yes.
Let's face it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a devastating piece of news to
Right.
get. And this is where you get your uplift from.
Yeah.
Of course, your religion, what kind of
Yeah.
faith base you have, and plus on top of that, your friends, and then on top of that, your family, and then you get into these kinds of groups here that can help you out. So
Yes.
it's good stuff.
Always.
So you, Kim, in particular, who was your first phone call? Because you were so young. Did you call your mom?
Actually, my
Or your-
mom was there with me at the time when I got
yeah.
the call, and I was speechless.
Yeah.
And I called out to her, and I just fell to the ground in her arms,
Oh, wow.
and I couldn't believe
Wow,
it.
yeah.
It's almost like I knew, but then to hear the words coming from my
Right.
breast surgeon that I had breast cancer.
Yeah.
Being a baby.
Being a
I mean, you're
baby,
32 years
and at the time,
old.
my daughter was 10 years old. She was
Wow.
at school.
Oh, you had a child.
Yes,
Even. Oh, wow.
and it was just automatic okay, I have to refocus, because if I refuse to have my daughter, and mind you, this was in April,
Yeah.
so I refused Mother's Days and birthdays
Yeah.
and Christmases where my
Yeah.
daughter's going to my grave
Right.
to put flowers on my grave.
Yeah.
I want to see proms, I want
Yeah.
to see graduations and
right,
weddings,
right,
you know?
right.
Everything just changed.
Wow.
And you become more selfless versus selfish by saying, God, why me?
Yeah.
You know, why am I going through this? What did I do wrong?
Right.
And it's just, you change the whole focus. And I had my work family, my friends, and then after a while you start to get extended family. So now,
That's right.
you know,
Yeah, I
Mike's-
know. You two are
Mike's my
like
brother now.
brother and sister.
Mike's my brother
I was
now.
just thinking, I celebrated my 60th birthday in a CAT scan, bone scan. That's how
my
I celebrated my
gosh.
60th birthday.
Yeah.
And my first call was to my daughter.
Oh, wow.
I wanted her to be the first. I don't know why I picked her, but I did.
Yeah.
And she was great. She was very supportive and all that. And
So to go from
So,
that,
yeah.
like devastation, to where you are now, I mean, I know it's been a while, but, so all these things were factors in helping you get to this place right now?
Yeah, you
because
stay busy.
you're
Yeah.
still in it,
Oh,
right? You're
yes.
still
Oh, no,
going in,
you're-
but you're so upbeat about everything. It's,
for me, I don't know how it is with you, but for me, I have to go 5 years of these blood tests before they would declare that I'm prostate cancer free.
oh, yeah.
Okay, so what this has done for me is to be very, very vigilant in
Yeah.
other things,
Right.
like moles, like she mentioned, the
Yeah.
self-examining and things, and I've become more self-aware.
Right.
And I think that's part of this,
Right.
because quite honestly, you're scared to death that
Right.
something else is going to come along and I didn't catch it, or I missed it.
Yeah.
So I think it makes you more. The Cowardly Lion,
Yeah.
and the Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
courage,
Yeah.
and that's what it takes. And having buds like this, and community supporters like yourself to get the word out, to talk to people, to be aware, it's helpful. And I hope
Is
people
it
heed
common? Is it? Excuse me, but is
Yeah.
it common for different cancers to present in different ways, or is that a common thing, or is that more unusual?
that. Well, it's all unique.
Yeah.
I had a friend
Oh,
of mine, God bless him, he passed away not too long ago, and he had a particular melanoma. And there are so many different variants that each variant requires different types of treatment.
Oh, right.
So, it's all hit and miss.
Yeah.
It's all trial and error.
That's
You
actually a
know?
really good point, Michael. When you are diagnosed, because it sounds like they're like MD Anderson or Duke, or there are different hospitals that are
Right.
really more educated or have more research in specific kind of cancer. How
Right.
important was that for you to sort of start taking charge and researching and finding out where to go, or do you just do everything locally and let them do
No,
the...
they gave you, in my particular case, I can only speak for me, they gave me materials to look at. You're right, Duke University, John Hopkins is another. There was a facility
Boston,
in
they all
Minneapolis,
have-
Minnesota.
Yeah.
There's all these kinds of things, but here locally I found a very unique place, and I did the Da Vinci machine.
Oh, yeah.
So I had the radioscopic prostatectomy, which is like
Is that the robotic
it's the hand
one?
controls, right,
Yeah.
right. And so I had that done here, and I'm very
But did
happy
you
with the
lay out all
results.
your options?
Oh, yes.
Like, did you? Because and probably you too. You probably talk about getting a.
Well, you got to
wealth
look
of
at expense.
information.
You got to look at travel. You got to
Right.
look at how much downtime you're going to have, how much healing time you're going to have, where are you going to be when you're healing.
Yeah.
So that's very important to engage your family in those kinds of discussions, because
Right.
you got to set up some support networks for you to do that. And you'd be surprised how people chip in once they know the stuff is going hard on you like that.
I mean, you
yeah.
factor in a lot of things, and like in reference to myself, being diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, now it was, well, what strand? And the strand that I had was triple negative, which is very aggressive. And typically, the women that are diagnosed with triple negative are African American women or Latino women. It's a very aggressive type of cancer, and where my treatment options were have a mastectomy
Yeah.
and go through chemo. And
Right.
of course, it's the chemo treatments. It seems like it's the most harsh chemicals that they had to choose, as far as I call it, the cocktail per se.
Yeah.
But it was to kill everything just to revive and bring me back,
Right.
if you will, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And you have all the material, and blissfully, I had, a breast navigator that was able to walk me through the things, and everything
Wait,
wasn't
no,
so.
what's that? What is a breast
Well,
navigator?
oh, wow. Well, when you're diagnosed, we actually have patient navigators through the
Yeah.
American Cancer Society, which no matter what cancers that you have. And the patient navigator actually walks the person who has just been diagnosed.
Are they clinicians?
They are clinicians, and basically walk them through the process of, what doctors, the questions about the treatments, where the support groups are,
yeah.
if you will. Different, also if you're having financial issues where in many cases it's a matter of, well, I have to be able to pay my mortgage, but my
Right.
treatment is this much, or my medicine that I have to get in conjunction with my treatment is this much. That patient navigator, which has been so phenomenal
Wow.
with so many people, to be able to walk them through the process with
Yeah.
any question, even not to the caregiver side, because caregivers also have it just, they're like, I want to take it from my loved one.
Right.
I need that support too. I'm trying to
Right.
keep that face for my loved
Sure.
one. But they also go into a dark place,
Right.
So everybody needs that support, if you will. But for me, again, I had a breast navigator specifically for breast cancer, and she walked me through, the type of surgery I was going to have. I had lymph nodes removed, so she walked me through the process of having lymphedema.
Yeah.
Through different plastic surgeries if I wanted to go through reconstructive surgeries and things of that nature, and to also get me in contact with those of which that have already gone through
Right.
the journey.
That had
which
to be key.
It had to be key, and we have one of those services through ACS, which is called Reach to Recovery,
Oh,
where breast
yeah.
cancer survivors who are newly diagnosed are actually partnered with a breast cancer survivor that's been a year out, so
Wow.
that they can have that one-on-one contact and be able to have those discussions.
If your viewers are, by the time this program airs, if viewers out there are interested in, the next Relay for Life is like June 4th, June 5th at Salem High School.
Oh, yeah.
And as we're trying to get the Navy involved, our theme is here, away, we relay.
Oh, I
and
like
we're there to celebrate the people who are fighting, remember those who have passed, and continue the fight. And then
and you-
support the caregivers. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. And do you have these listed on the website?
They are listed on the website, yes, ma'am, or in
Okay,
cancer.org, and as well if someone would prefer to pick up the phone and just talk to a live person, 1-800-227-2345.
Okay, well, Kim and Michael, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
What a pleasure meeting you, and I'm so happy for both of you guys. I wish continued health for you guys.
Thank you.
I'm Ann Farrell Tata. Thank you so much for being with us today. We will see you next time on Joy in Our Town. Thank you.
This program has been sponsored by the Trinity Broadcasting Network and made possible by your telethon dollars. Your continual support can keep Joy in Our Town brought to your home every day. So write Joy in Our Town, P.O. Box A, Santa Ana, California, 92711.